So machine learning, relatively new field. Historically, if you wanted to build a machine learning application, you had to do things in a very monolithic way. So you start with your data, always good to start with data when you're doing machine learning, and then you train what we call machine learning models. These are essentially representations of a bunch of historical data that you can then use to make predictions or classifications about new data. We call those inferences. So you'd build some of these machine learning models to do a specific task, maybe identify a person in a video, maybe translate language from one language to another. That's great. Once you build these models and you want to build an application to actually use them that a human can interact with, you have to build this big monolith where you're integrating all these models, maybe spaghetti coding all the inputs and outputs together. The data scientists and the developers are talking past each other because of the different experience and expertise they bring to the table. And the models that get built often don't get reused in other places across the enterprise where they could provide more value. So once it's in there, it's kind of locked in there. And the cost and the time required to build the next app never gets any shorter, never gets any smaller. Well, we think there's a better way. So with Modzy, we've provided a new mechanism to allow you to actually take the machine learning algorithms that you're trying to use in your enterprise and make them more accessible, easier to use, easier to manage and govern. The way we do that is, again, start with the data, but then we provide a layer, this Modzy application platform layer, that you can use to store, deploy, run, and manage all of the machine learning models, AI algorithms, that you might need to use inside your organization. On top of this Modzy platform, then you can build as many applications as you want, all using the same models. So one application could be a custom app you built in-house to do a really specific financial transaction or process. Another application could be a piece of commercial software that you're using, maybe a SharePoint connection or a ServiceNow integration. The third could be some sort of data processing pipeline. You might have a sensor out in the field somewhere, maybe a satellite collecting imagery, and you want to be able to run AI algorithms on all of that incoming data. That's all possible through the Modzy platform. All of the algorithms within Modzy can be really whatever you need them to be, but this includes things like computer vision, natural language processing, and video analytics. But really, whatever tools and machine learning algorithms your organization is looking to use, Modzy can support them. In addition to this decoupling of applications from machine learning, we've added a couple of other things that we think are really helpful for the transformation from AI in the lab to AI in production. One is the addition of some new security features that we've patented. We call them adversarial defense. What this basically means is a new way of securing AI algorithms so that a bad guy can't trick them into making a mistake. It is a growing risk and a threat for both government organizations as well as commercial companies. And what we've done is created a new mechanism so that we can both defend your algorithms against data attacks as well as harden the models themselves so they're harder to trick. One of the other things we've done is added in explainability that makes it possible for you to get a better understanding of why the machine learning model made the decision that it made. This could be based on the pixels that it identified in an image. And this combination of pixels is sort of why we think this is a car versus a cat. It could be statistical outputs to help you better understand the likelihood of this object being what we think it is. All of the tools within our explainability portfolio are really designed to help both executives and business analysts better interpret these outputs rather, and have more trust that the algorithms are actually doing what they're supposed to do. So this is all great if you have your own giant team of data scientists, machine learning engineers, developers building AI models. What if you don't have your own models, but you want to get started integrating AI into the systems you have inside your enterprise? Well, great question. And the answer is our Modzy marketplace. What we've done with Modzy is provided a set of pre-trained, pre-built algorithms on top of this Modzy platform that you can use from day one to integrate AI into your enterprise. So this includes models from Fortune 500 companies, from some amazing startups that we've been building partnerships with, academia, and the open source community. So within this marketplace, you can basically hunt for algorithms designed to do the job you need them to do, from building detection to language translation to voice segmentation and audio to damage detection after a hurricane. Right now, I think we've got over 60 or 70 models, but that's quickly growing into a really large set of offerings that you'll be able to essentially get access to from the marketplace, meaning you don't have to build your own algorithm from scratch. And all of those models are designed to work really, really well within the Modzy platform. The last thing I wanted to mention is all of these models are potentially available for what we call model retraining. If you're not familiar with machine learning, one of the dirty secrets of AI is that models are only as good as the data they're trained on. So if you have an amazing model that's designed to identify pictures of cats on Twitter, it could do that job really well, but say you try and use it to detect pictures of cats on Facebook. It could be that the kind of data that it's trained on Twitter doesn't translate over to Facebook and it doesn't work as well. What we want to do with Modzy is provide a mechanism to help you take a model that at its core is really solid, but improve its performance against your own data. So if you have an enterprise data set that you need one of these models to work well against, we're actually providing mechanisms for you to add that data into the training process and take an already great model to the next level. Now that you've got a better understanding from our whiteboard, we thought we'd spend a moment walking you through the product just to give you a sense of what it does, how it works, and what it looks like. So here you see our Modzy marketplace. This is essentially the collection of AI algorithms that we've developed within our own data science team, as well as pulled together from a growing list of exceptional partners. The marketplace is where you can go to find AI capabilities that might help solve a need your organization or your business has. This could include computer vision algorithms, natural language processing algorithms, cyber defense algorithms, you name it. Here you'll see we've got a range of capabilities from our Modzy team, but we've also pulled in some pretty cool models from the open source community and from partners like AppTech, Hypergiant, AI Reverie, Booz Allen Hamilton, and a number of others. Each of these algorithms is built to do one thing really well, but they can be connected together into workflows or chains, allowing you to accomplish even more complicated tasks through this enterprise AI capability. So let's take a look at one of these models in action to give you a sense of how this might work for you. Let's say that you are tasked with calculating the square footage roof area for every building in a major US city. You might use something like this to calculate how much available square footage there is for solar panels. If you were to do that by hand, it would be an incredibly laborious process. So instead, you might want to use something like our overhead building detection model. In case you're curious about what this model does and how it works, you can click in on this model and actually see a short demo that demonstrates what it looks like to use this model on your data. Here we see some example inputs of satellite imagery along with the outputs from this model that demonstrate our ability to identify buildings and actually kind of color in the pixels, we call these masks, of the specific shape of the buildings. Once you have this overall sense of what the model does, you probably will know whether or not it's going to meet the needs that you have for your specific use case. But if you want to learn more about this model, you can actually dig into the details on our model detail page. You can think of this as kind of like the biography for any AI model. In addition to a short summary of what this model does and how it works, we provide a lot more technical information that can help you truly determine if this is the right model for you, including performance metrics, along with a lot of technical details. We think it's really important to be transparent about how these models work, the data that they were trained on, the types of neural network structures that were used, and the training process involved in order to create this model. Depending on what you're trying to accomplish, these details can really matter and can really inform whether or not this model is going to do the job as well as it needs to. Finally, if you've determined this is the right job, the right tool for the job, you can use our how-to section to copy and paste the direct code you'll need in order to use this model in real life. So let's take a look at an example of how that might work. Here we have a Jupyter notebook showing off an example NLP processing pipeline that you might use for social media. In this case, we've pulled a tweet from a popular Egyptian singer, Amir Diab, and we're going to process that tweet in order to learn a little bit more about what the singer is thinking and doing. So we're going to start by just pulling in the actual text itself. Here we have the direct tweet from Amir, and we're going to run a language detection algorithm. Since this isn't a familiar language to me, it'll be helpful to understand what language we're working with. So with a single line through our Python SDK, we're able to essentially pass the actual text itself and then call Modzy to say, hey, please use the language classification model and use version 0.0.11 to process this text. Well, the output we get is Egyptian Arabic. So now we've successfully identified the language that we're working with. With that info, we can now actually process this text using our Arabic to English translation model. Here we see the output being congratulations to Egypt, a brilliant and impressive world opening worthy of the name of Egypt. I believe he was talking about a big concert that had recently happened in Egypt. So with this information, now we may be able to take the output and run it through some other models, such as our named entity recognition model, which identifies Egypt as a proper noun, and our sentiment analysis model, which gives us a better sense of the positivity of this tweet, which we see is relatively positive. Now, this may seem like a silly example to use this on one individual tweet, but the idea is that you could use a combination of models to process hundreds or thousands of tweets. If you're a huge fan of this band, you may use this information to help you figure out where their next tour is going to be. All of these models within Modzy can be called and joined together in different ways in order for you to create really complicated and sophisticated AI workflows created from individual composite models, either from the Modzy commercial marketplace or from your own models. All of that can be run within Modzy. If you have more questions about how it all works, we also provide detailed documentation of the whole platform. This includes how-to guides for actually running models and passing your data into Modzy, overviews of examples using the API for different product integrations. Say you want to build a web or a mobile app using Modzy, maybe process data from a satellite straight onto a NiFi workflow. We provide a lot of details to help you understand all the different ways you can use it, along with detailed reference guides for all of our various API routes. We really want to make this easy for developers and data scientists to use the platform in whatever way they want to use it.